this in just a second. I don't have too much to say, but it's really lovely to see you all, and we really appreciate you turning out. We hope you like the movie. It's a little end-of-the-world love story that has been in the works for a long time. And we're excited to get it out there in the world. Obviously, June, our co-star, is here as well. We're going to be doing a little Q&A. This is Andrew Johnson, the director. We're going to be doing a little Q&A after the show, so if you want to, stick around for that. And we will, a lot of us probably be walking to a bar nearby. If anybody wants to join, I will announce that after, because we still have to figure out which one. But thank you, and here's Andrew Johnson, the director.
I don't have much to say. Oh, thank you. I don't have much to say. Thank you all for being here. That's all I got.
We're gonna do a Q&A. I guess you guys. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Okay, we're gonna do this Price is Right style. Everybody, please welcome producer, writer, star Andrew Ortenberg, actress June Schreiner, director Andrew Johnson. Hi.
For having us.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations. What you guys think? Yeah. So this is definitely not your typical end-of-the-world movie that we usually see. It's not a lot of chaos. There's not Ben Affleck in space. Why did you decide to do it this way, so quietly, so meditatively?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because it gets at exactly what you said. We wanted to make one that wasn't like every other end-of-the-world movie, and I feel like every end-of-the-world movie, which I love, by the way. I am a connoisseur of the genre. I love post-apocalyptic or pre-apocalyptic stuff in general, because I feel like an extinction event is a very interesting lens through which to examine things. I always say, you know, what's the only thing that can make an Instagram influencer in Beverly Hills experience the exact same thing at the exact same time as a potato farmer in the Irish countryside? It's an extinction event. It would put us all on a level playing field, throw everything out the window. But I feel like every end-of-the-world movie is. It's all very sci-fi. It's focused on the mission to stop it, this, that, and the third. And there are a few. There's a movie called Last Night, which played the Toronto Film Festival in 1999, which is very much just like a walk and talk as these two people walk around the city on the last night on Earth. And I wanted to make something more restrained that was more just about how random, weird people were dealing with their last days alive. And I just felt like that was more honest and to me a little more interesting than, you know, the science of it all or what exactly is going on with the asteroids. To me, what's much more interesting is how real humans would, you know, like the Dermot and the Lauren characters would just be, you know, doing weird things in their final days. I felt like was interesting to play around with. And I thought that it, you know, I guess not to compare ourselves to him, we could never dream of reaching that level. My dream was like, what if Richard Linklater made an end-of-the-world movie, you know, making something like Before Sunrise, Before Midnight, where it's really just a really contained, restrained storytelling with extreme circumstances in the background.
Before the end of the world.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. I want to talk about your relationship between the two of your characters. Are they in love with each other? Like, we don't really see them that physically affectionate that much, but they clearly do have a special bond.
You want me to take this one? No, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, when we set out with Rose and Michael, we knew that outside of the movie we had, you know, two friends that already have a beautiful friendship. So, you know, coming together and making this movie was a lot of fun. But then the characters themselves, I think that they come from a harsh past, and then looking at their reality, their future, I think that there's a lot of tension in the world outside that gets brought into their relationship. So, you know, I think that there's the external struggle and the internal struggle between both of them throughout the entire movie, and you know, it's tough to focus on love when there's asteroids coming towards the Earth.
And if I could tag on to that too, I think we want, you know, like we said, we wanted to make an end-of-the-world movie that was different from every end-of-the-world movie. We wanted to make a young love story that was different from every other young love story. So we very much set out with the intention of not having it be a make-out fest, you know, like, I'd be willing to bet we are one of the only, you know, young love stories out there where we don't even kiss until, you know, what, like an hour 10 into
Until
the
we're
movie.
married.
I think it's about 56 minutes.
But so yeah, so I thought, and I personally, we will see in the coming, you know, weeks and months as people actually see this thing. I feel like young people really respond to that, and I feel like it's a more honest and intelligent depiction of their experiences in a way that they relate to and appreciate seeing on screen.
June, how did you come into the picture here? Because Andrew number one directed, Andrew number two, sorry, not number, just seating order.
Yes.
You know, wrote it, produced it. Like, where did you come in?
Andrew number two right here.
Yeah.
We knew each other from an acting school.
Okay.
And so we met, and he told me about this project. And he was like, "Would you like to do it?" And I was like, "I'll read your script." And then I read it, and I was like, "I would really like to do this."
Why?
Because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I also would like to kind of answer your other question too.
Oh,
Because
please.
I do think it's an important part of what really excited me about this story, which is that Rose, I feel like, and Michael are really having to deal with this question of surrender to what's going on and to each other. And they really are at the beginning of their relationship, which can bring so much excitement,
Mm-hmm.
but it can also bring so much anxiety about, is this the right person? Is this how I should be spending my time? And I think throughout the movie, those moments where Rose really allows him to take care of her and lead her and be the person that he wants to be for her, I think are so beautiful. It's something I struggle with myself.
Mm.
And so it's like, are they in love, or are they really just like allowing the present moment to be what it is?
Yeah.
And this is who they've got, and they're kind of stuck with each other, and they make the most of it.
So the characters went to high school together, as we hear. How long in your mind had it been since they were in high school?
That's a writer question.
But I certainly, honestly, I'm not too precious about it. I think it, you know, open interpretation. Me personally, we're always supposed to be very, very early 20s, like 22, so
Okay.
a few years. That's fine.
Okay, got it. Andrew Johnson, this is your first directorial debut. Congratulations. You didn't really have to deal with the green screen CGI and special effects of an end of the world kind of movie. Why did this one appeal to you?
Well, when I got the 60-page version of the script, the characters were so unique, and the characters that they meet along the way were so unique. And you know, it's not always often that you get a script and every single character has their own voice, their own very, very distinct, unique voice. I think that speaks a lot to Andrew and how he wrote this. And also, again, like it wasn't a doom and gloom movie. It really was this day-to-day life of these two kids that are trying to figure out what the hell's gonna happen, and to the last point, whether they're supposed to spend their last days together, because we always talked about maybe they're not, and you know they end up doing that. But I think that, you know, that is the whole question, the whole movie, and yeah.
When I'm Ready, title of the movie, what do we think I'm ready for? What is the title supposed to mean?
You know, it's funny. It's it comes from a song. It comes from a fuller line of the much too long old version of the title was "I hope you're still here when I'm ready." And so, you know, it's essentially, you know, obviously it means, you know, when I'm ready to accept my own mortality, when I'm ready to die. Because it's kind of what every character we meet, the Lauren Cohan character and the Dermot Mulroney character, each in their own, you know, very different ways is kind of, you know, settling their affairs and preparing for death. So it means, you know, when I'm ready to, but it doesn't specifically have to mean, you know, when I'm ready to die, but I think it's when I'm ready to do anything that is, you know, extremely challenging. In Michael's case, I think it's when he's ready to admit to himself and to Rose and to everyone that he's kind of been putting on this whole act, you know?
Yeah.
And so for everybody, you know, for Lauren Cohan's character, it's when she is ready to tell somebody that April is not actually her daughter, you know? For the Maroney character, you know, it's when he is ready to, you know, come into his own and find his own power as a man and everything like that. So it's not necessarily just death, but just when you're ready to find, you know, to be true to yourself, I would say.
Yeah, I interpret it as more of like acceptance, ready type of, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. The two characters, the Dermot character, Lauren's character, they only pop in and out, but they make such an impression. You've already just touched on it, but what was it like filming those scenes with them? I mean, it's supposed to be, I just felt like the movie itself is so melancholic, but those scenes in particular really like left an impression.
Well, you know, Lauren and Dermot are like pros, and they came in and had to film a lot of pages in a very, very short amount of time, and it's amazing watching them work and the prep that they did, because I, you know, was able to sit back for a lot of it and just watch them work and watch them, you know, perform their craft and do exactly what, you know, what we needed from them. But, you know, their characters in general, I think they just speak to the overall outside world of this story, that just like, you know, sometimes people are in pain, or like, you know, sometimes it can be something that's, you know, simple as well, and yeah, I think that they added such a beautiful touch to the film, even though, like you said, they aren't in, you know, a ton of it. They do add such beauty to those parts.
Anything to add?
I loved filming with them. They were so fun, and they were so nice to everybody. That's the thing that blew me away. I was like, man, these guys are so famous, and they're still so nice.
Yeah.
And introducing themselves to the whole crew and shaking hands and saying thank you. And with Lauren, we spent the whole lunch, like the whole time getting makeup done next to each other, and then all of lunch talking about the scene. I was like, oh my gosh, she really cares. And it was so cool, because they could have just phoned it in.
Yeah.
But they really didn't. They were like really present. They really loved the material, and they really wanted to do it justice. And it was so cool as a, you know, to see people who are like really have like done the thing, and they're still in it that way.
My best friend's wedding, enough said.
Which I think just celebrated 20 or 25 years this year, maybe?
Of what?
25
I did
years
see
when it
Dermot
came out.
posting something about
I think
that.
he just posted something about that.
Of that
Yeah,
movie?
yeah.
More than that, but that's another story.
Maybe 30.
Yeah, it's 90. Anyway, I digress. Where was that diner scene filmed? Where was that?
I'm glad you asked, because that was actually in Castaic. You know, if people know the LA region on the outskirts of LA, and Castaic actually just got hit hard by a fire. I need to check on that diner in particular. I'm not sure if that diner survived or not. It was really old, kind of like a defunct diner, which worked really well for the scene. It was not in shape. But this whole movie, I'm glad you asked, was filmed all around Los Angeles, and you know, with an all LA local crew. Pretty much everybody who worked on it for the most part was an LA person, and a lot of the locations that you see in the film, you know, all the outdoor camping stuff was filmed at Malibu Creek State Park, which was, you know, right in the path of the big devastating Malibu and Palisades fires. Mm-hmm. So obviously I'm from Santa Monica, I'm from the west side of LA. It's a lot of people who worked on the film are, and our hearts obviously and minds are with everybody dealing with that, and a lot of the locations that you see in the film were unfortunately, right in the thick of all of that.
Thank you for mentioning that. All right, one more question for me, then I'm going to open up to the audience, is that I really thought the scene with the grandma was going to be at the very end. I was really surprised that it came so early on into the movie. What was the reason for that? And maybe I even thought the grandma was just not even existent. It was like a metaphor for something. But no, you have your moment with her, but it's so, you know, she obviously was going on with her. She doesn't remember, but why put it there in that hour mark?
I think that when we were in the edit, and I think this speaks to the edit being where, you know, the film really shapes up and where it can find itself, is we did have the grandma pretty late in the movie, and it just felt like we weren't getting there fast enough. It just felt like we were forgetting where we were going, and putting it at the hour mark, I think that there was some turmoil when we first had moved it there, whether or not we felt like the movie felt like it was ending at that point, which I think was definitely a struggle, and it took us a long time to kind of form the pieces before and the pieces immediately following. But I think with the grandma and then the apology, I think what it did for us is it allowed the characters to really wrap up their story which I think when it comes down to it, that's what this movie is about. And so it felt good having her at the hour mark and then letting them finish their story together.
And if I could just tack on, I think it relates to what you got at with the whole movie being very melancholic, which it is that, again, we didn't want there to be any neat bows wrapped on anything.
Right.
I mean, the whole point of it kind of is that everybody does not get what they want out of, the end of the world. Rose does not get the triumphant reunification with her grandmother that she wanted. Lauren Cohen's character does not get the, or we don't necessarily know, but she does not look like she's going to get the dream sweep her off her feet, knight in shining armor that she is hoping for. And Dermot, does not really get what he is searching for. And Michael with his dad, we didn't want there to be any sort of, like Disney movie, oh my God, son, we wanted to leave everything on these notes of kind of, on these kind of what ifs, and I thought that was more powerful personally. And also, I do have to say, I'm sorry to catch you off guard with this. I actually meant to shoot you an email about it, but as some of you guys know here, June's mom played the grandma in the film. June's mom is Dana Anderson, one of the actresses in the film, who tragically passed away before we could finish it. That's why, as you can see, that the movie is dedicated in her honor. And I also would be remiss if I didn't say that one of our executive producers and financiers, James Masiello, he also passed away just a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately. Right, the day we dropped the trailer and the release date and everything, so we could not get anything up there in time for him on screen, but the movie is now dedicated in his honor as well, and he changed my life, and he changed all of our lives, and I'm very grateful for him and for Dana, and I hope we achieve some modicum of success with this film for both of them.
All right, does anyone have any questions? Okay, there's a bunch. All right, we're going to start in the front right there with glasses.
Is there a lot of improv in this movie?
No.
I would say that there's not a ton of improv.
I would say
I
there's
think
basically
Dermot's
zero.
right now.
Yeah, it's very, very small. Yeah, Dermot might be the
Not
most.
a ton, in terms of the dialogue, definitely, some blocking stuff, like, like the montage sequences and whatnot, a lot of how we were feeling on the fly. Dermot, though, definitely had a lot of ideas, and a lot of them really good ones, and he definitely, it wasn't like he was, going off and monologuing on his own, so that wasn't in the script, but for example, the whole leaving the gun on the table was not originally in the script. That was Dermot's idea on the day. So that was pretty
I got
big.
a call the night before that said, "What if you give me the gun?"
Yeah.
And that was not the original thing. And so I immediately called Andrew and said, "We got to figure out this gun situation."
Yeah, so that was a pretty big one. And obviously, it ended up in the movie, and I think it was a good idea.
What do you think happened after?
I'm sorry this is such a cop-out. I genuinely prefer, even as the person who wrote it, not to know, because even as the writer, I left Dermot in that night. What he, his name's Keith, what he does after we leave is, I want it to be even up to my own imagination. Me personally, just judging off of his comments and everything, I kind of feel like he doesn't go through with it in the end, but like I said, I honestly would prefer not to.
I think he does it.
I would like to add one thing. Our cinematographer Rachel Kleiman, in terms of cinematography and improv, there are some scenes which, like right after the gas station when we're filming in the field, we did not have time to film any of that scene. And I think it's like one of the most beautiful scenes in the film, and that is all a credit to her. And she did such a fabulous job. It's like. Yeah, I can't even speak enough words about her.
All right, nice try out. Okay, another question. Okay, in the back, like second row right here. Sorry, my glasses aren't on. Yes, you.
Whose mansion is that?
That, good question. Well, actually, oh my God, I'm sorry to be so morbid. More sad news. The man who owned that house, Ned, actually passed away. He thankfully was very old. He died of natural causes. It was not anything sudden or unexpected. But we got a great deal on that mansion too, because our line producer Liam Finn, who everything Andrew just said about Rachel, I cannot co-sign enough, and everything he said about Rachel, I would also apply to Liam Finn, our line producer. I could give a whole dissertation on him. He was incredible, and he hooked it up with that mansion because he had worked with it's on Mulholland Drive, also another area that was affected by the fires. It's one of those mansions on Mulholland, if you know the LA area, and he had worked with them before, so go look it up.
I have a cough. Should I be concerned?
I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay, there was someone, right, yes, go ahead.
Is it me?
Either one.
You go ahead.
First of all, thank you guys for sharing your craft with us. I'm wondering, what were some of the hard parts of the movie for you guys in terms of acting? Like, were there any scenes that were particularly tough for y'all, or Andrew, in terms of directing, what was like hard decisions for you?
Yeah, it was challenging because we were going so fast, you know? It's like 19 days and like 22 locations.
20, yeah, which is insane.
20 locations, so we were at a different place every single day, sometimes moving. We had many scenes at sunset, which is really hard to film because you have like a 15-minute window, so it was so rushed, and there's like a lot of complex emotions going on with these two. So it was tricky, but it also kind of just like forced you to just be present with what was, which is kind of the whole message of the movie.
And yeah, and to June's point, yeah, I think what made it easier was the fact that me and June had known each other from the acting studio and worked together going in, so we spoke some of the same language because, like she said, yeah, some of those, you know, we shot 110 pages in 19 days, which is an insane thing to do in hindsight. I didn't realize quite how crazy it was at the time. And there was a lot of scenes in the movie that we didn't have time to rehearse. There was nothing like, there's a lot of scenes in the movie that our very first time reading them out loud together was when we had shot them. And it's a testament to June. You know, one of the most difficult things for her, which I always single out, is that the big like emotional climax, the all is lost moment of the movie in the courtyard outside the grandma's house. We shot that on the very first day. That was, before lunch on the first day. And June, I had been sitting with the material because I wrote it. Like, I had been sitting with it for, a couple of years. But June literally came in cold, barely having rehearsed any of this, had not been sitting with this script, and delivered, the climax of the movie on the very first day, and did an incredible job.
I'd say a lot of the toughest choices that I had to make were you come in with these shot lists and stuff, and you think that the day is going to be perfect and that everything that you shoot is going to be this like brilliant masterpiece, and then everything goes to shit, and like me and Rachel are just like sitting in a corner trying to figure out how we're going to make the day and get everything on camera. And honestly, again, a shout out to like the rest of the crew too, because like we were slashing, cutting, doing one shots, trying to figure out how we were going to get everything done. And every single person on that set was at our backs, and so those were the toughest decisions, but everybody around us made it pretty easy.
All right, we'll be time for one more question. Go ahead. I cut you off. So
Yeah, Emily.
I just I see a lot of articles now about people cutting off their parents, and I feel very moved about the way that this was framed in the movie. These two characters are like sort of left over, and I was just wondering if you could speak to that on like the message of like this epidemic that's going on right now, people cutting people off and becoming more and more isolated in their lives, and then of course like catastrophe comes in and you just have to deal with whatever is going on right now.
I'm kind of emotional when it comes to parents right now. It breaks my heart to think of people like cutting their parents off, because you really don't know when you're gonna lose them. So it's not easy for Rose, and it's not easy for Michael to leave their parents behind, and obviously there's a reason why they can't go see them. But my God, I kind of wish that they do. Like, I wish they could go give them one last kiss. I hope all of you give your parents one last kiss whenever you can. But I don't have anything so thoughtful to mention about this. But it's a really beautiful question.
do you got one of you guys want to give the last word on this?
Sure. I think that like, especially with these characters too, we intended to also keep their problems with their parents intentionally vague. But yeah, I think that to your point, and to what we tried to do with this movie, I don't think we tried to show that like the parents or the kids were right, either one of them, because I think that those relationships are very complex, and you know, the parents bring their own stuff into the world, and then they bring somebody else into the world, and they get passed down, and you know, and then they're also looking up at their parents and trying to figure that out. But I think that, you know, it was just such an important part of our film to not have a perspective on the kids or the parents being right or wrong in any way.
Yeah, and if I could tack on to that as the last word, because Andrew just made me think of it. I think it's totally true that yes, what we wanted to do was just like, because that is real life. Like real life is messy and ugly and is nuanced, and things are not black and white or good or bad. That is every character in the movie. Was what we tried to do. You know, specifically with Lauren's character. You know, she says a few kooky things, and she might say a few things that rub you the wrong way, or everything like, oh geez, this woman doesn't have her stuff together. And then at the same time, she, you know, has done this incredibly selfless thing to raise a young girl who is not even her daughter. And to me, that's real life. Like, good people do bad things, bad people do good things. You know, I heard a quote recently that was, "In men who men condemn as ill, I see so much of goodness still. In men who men proclaim divine, I see so much of sin and blot. I would not dare draw the line between the two where God has not." And to me, that is kind of like this movie in a nutshell. Like, it doesn't really matter who's, you know, like Andrew said, who is right or wrong in the relationship. And that's the movie in a nutshell.
Wow, that was a great effort. All right, thank you, Team 3. Thanks, everybody.
Get a selfie as well?
Of course, please.
You sign it, Joe?
Yes, of course. Thank you.
You call other Andrew over here?
Thank you so much.
Pass it back.
Okay.
See, where should I go? Can you hold it for me? Thank you. I'll go down to the
Anywhere.
bottom. Yeah.
And a quick selfie with all three of y'all.
Yes, selfie. Let's get that selfie.
Thank you so much.
Squeeze in.
Okay.